Ministering Angels by Lori A. Thompson. Chapter 7. Day After the Stone. The next day, all the boys fall right back into routine. Joe's morning calls to rally the hunters echo throughout the cave. Upon Brad's instruction, Joshua and Andrew bring Malachi to gather water. The cave is bustling with busy boys, cleaning and preparing for the evening. Outside the cave, there are boys clearing brush and gathering wood. There are boys replenishing hunting materials and preparing food for storage. Brad instructs Nathan to do whatever he needs to take care of himself. He knows that the boys are going to need his riding skills now more than ever. Brad also instructs Aiden to tend to his animals. It was obvious to Brad when he saw how Aiden used his skills to ride his water animals to rescue Joshua that he could be of service. All the boys appear to be enjoying the return to the day-to-day concerns of tending to the boys and the island. Still, a change has occurred in their minds. They are now aware of a new possibility. There may be others, a challenge to their ideals of safety. The boys' subservient nature has most of the boys doing exactly as they're told, but nothing more. Aiden heeds his instruction to take care of his animals, but he always exceeds expectation. Aiden gathers up 3 of the boys who normally tend to the island's brush and trails, and with their immediate approval, he starts his own animal boys' clan and then takes them to his private living space for a tour. What had started out as a simple sticks and twine cover to protect him from the elements evolved into an elaborate tree fort. The tour begins by entering his fort at ground level, where most of the storage remains. This storage area holds everything pertaining to animals. The house circles the trunk, then leads all the way up to the tip top of the tree. He enjoys the different views of the island. He shows them where they can eat, play, or just hang out. The very top of his fort is his favorite place to be. He has homes for the flying and climbing tree animals there. These animal homes are never closed. The animals are free to come and go as they please. He does his best to offer comfort and food, enticing them to stay. He loves to experiment with different smells, bedding materials, and toys. Since he's there, he takes a moment to add more bits of fruit to the squirrels area. Then he adds a hanging seed holder to the bird cage above. He reflects upon the different types of birds that have entertained him day in and day out. He has a rainbow of feathers hanging down from a 4-foot piece of twine. He stands in silence for a moment. He's lost in thought, remembering the birds as he runs the feathers through his fingers. Aiden looks up through a small round hole he's made. It enables him to see the sky from a reclining chair across the room. He remembers peaceful nights, enjoying any kind of weather the sky had to offer. He looks to see if any birds are circling close to his treehouse and recalls they will be leaving soon, for the season is changing. Aiden ruminates over Malachi's challenge to understand. He breaks his silence, turns and looks at the boys and asks, "Where do these birds go when the season changes? Are they able to fly that long? Seasons of flying? Or do they land somewhere? Is there another island?" The boys stare back at him as if they don't have a thought in their head. "We've never paid attention to the birds, Malachi. We've seen them, but you know way more about them than we do. It is possible they fly around for long periods of time, but how would we know if there was somewhere that they would land other than our island?" "I'll have to think about that, boys," Aiden remarks. "Let's get back to work." Walking past them, he follows the circling stairs down to the main level area again. He gives each of them tools and materials to make their own riding gear. "I will instruct you so that the boys of the island will have a clan to rely on for trouble in the waters." The boys are respectful of Aiden's things as he sections off each area where they would be able to keep their own private things. They can eat and sleep there when they feel the need. Aiden doesn't take the time to think about how lonely he's been, secluded in his space in the woods. Now with his new companions, he's able to fully appreciate sharing his love of the animals. Okay, that's the inside. Now let's go have some fun. Aiden motions to have the boys follow him. A narrow path through brush and trees places the boys in a straight line behind Aiden. The boys know where he's leading them. Aiden needs help with the animals from time to time, and the boys are always willing to help. He would ask boys for help when cages need a building or repaired. He also helped with collecting or transporting animals. Aiden seems extra anxious. As he walks, he's grabbing things out of his pouch and placing them on his hands and feet. The boy in front, just right behind Aiden, keeps peeking right to left, trying to get a glimpse of his preparation. He can see Aiden's teeth gripping a leather strap in his mouth as he ties on his handwriting gear. Without missing a step, he slips on his riding shoes, leaving the leather straps flapping, whipping his shins as he walks. The boys reach the edge of the woods, stepping on a cliff's edge. This side of the island has no sandy beach. Aiden's shoreline is a rocky cove. To the right, the boys see a couple feet of the underwater cage above the waterline. Aiden's materials have accumulated up close to the tree line. There are stacks of water straps of all different sizes, and next to them, piled up, are a mound of mangled nets. The boys stand by and watch as Aiden laces the leather straps from his shoes around his calf to the bottom of his knee and then tie them tight. One of the boys taps on his shoulder blade and asks, "Are we all going to get that?" He's admiring the new body art Da Vinci placed on Aiden's shoulder. "I hadn't thought about it. I'm sure that on your first ride, Da Vinci could come up with something. I didn't ask him to do it. He said he could see something on my shoulder and asked if he could paint it so everyone could see it." Aiden walks to the edge, and without a word of warning, he jumps off the edge of the cove. His body is straight and firm, arms to his side. He pierces through the water like a released arrow. The cove's edge is sharp, straight, and deep. One boy looks at the other two, and then he runs and jumps over the cove and into the water, chasing after Aiden. The boy quickly tries to orient himself in the water. He can hear a loud noise echoing off the cove wall. He turns his body, using the force of the water against his hands. Out the corner of his eye, he sees a large cage door open. As he turns to face the moving object, he sees Aiden facing the mouth of an underwater cage. He watches as Aiden releases the door and then begins to push it out of the way. The boy continues to witness Aiden's animal mastery. Just as the door leaves the tips of Aiden's fingers, the animal swims out of the opening. A reach of his hand and Aiden's glove hooks the harness around its neck. The animal moves with great speed, dragging Aiden by his arm. Aiden scrambles quickly to hook one leg, then he flips up and over to position his other hand and foot. He tucks his arms and legs in tight, holding his head down level with the animal's back. The boys on the shore are throwing rocks at the rolling waves, aiming at the crust just before it breaks. Aiden uses the weight of his full body, and with all of his strength, he pulls back on the harness around the animal's neck. The animal takes the cue and uses its fins to gain even more momentum. The animal points its nose towards the sun. Aiden tucks in his head and body tight to the animal. Just as the boys begin to wonder if they should jump in the water, Aiden and the animal break the surface of the ocean. Spreading its fins, the animal glides through the air. Aiden can feel the animal's head point down, which gives him a few seconds to prepare for its return to the water. Breaking through the face of the ocean is the riskiest part of the ride. Once through the skin layer, the animal levels out its body, pumps its head, and pushes through the water with its tail. Once it builds up enough speed, Aiden pulls back with everything he has. The animal responds loyally each time. It points its nose up, kicks its body, fans its fins, and then it flies again. The boys watch on as Aiden rides the animal across the horizon. The boy in the water floats in the ocean, fighting each wave to keep Aiden and the animal in view. He stays close to the cage's door, plunging underwater each time the animal dives. Finally, he sees the two of them coming his way. The boy swims as hard as he can towards the door. Aiden has practiced his dismount many times. The animal's speed increases as it recognizes it's going home. First, he releases his hand and foot from the left side of its body, letting the animal drag him closer to the cage. He steps on the rear harness, lifting up his foot to release the hook. Then, with his left hand, he pulls on the front harness to release his last hook. He hangs on to the harness with both hands until just before the cage. The boy watches as Aiden, with perfect precision, let go of the harness. The animal swims into its home. Aiden's body slows without the power of the animal to move him through the water. He hooks the cage door and let the rest of his momentum drag it shut. Aiden latches the door and returns to the surface. The boy and Aiden make their way back to the rocky shore. The bright sun and warm rocks invite their wet bodies to dry off. Delightfully exhausted, they lie back on the shore, thoroughly pleased with the day. They all sit in silence, listening to the ocean, knowing that one day each of them will ride as Aiden just did. Aiden sits up, realizing they should be getting back to the cave. We will meet here every day. One day we will ride side by side. Let's go. Aiden turns to lead the boys back to the cave. He stops when he hears movement in the trees. A bird jumps off a branch and flies over their heads. Aiden watches as he sees the bird fly out over the ocean, out of sight. End of chapter 7.